All right, just seconds so that I can enable everybody to record. And we'll get started as soon as I get everybody. Again, if you're just coming in, raise your hand if you would like to record, and I will enable you to record, no problem. I'm doing that now. Hey, let me ask a question. If you on a cell phone, can you still record? Because some of y'all, it's not allowed.
It's gonna go to cloud.
All right.
It's only going to go to the cloud if you have it set up for it. But other words, it's not going to record.
Okay, I'm going to come in from my laptop then.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. I think you need to. Do you have to hit record? Because I see Noble is recording right now.
Yeah, we already hit record. Let me see. Okay, there you go. There you go.
I was kind of, I see it popping up. So, all right, cool. Once I finish all of the recording things, we'll get started. So if you don't see record by your name, then you must be on a cell phone, I would assume.
Greetings. It looks like everybody has a hand up. Am I supposed to put my hand up?
That's for recording if you want to record.
You got to take an oath first to join the secret society.
Okay. Thanks, Simon.
Nah, it's just if you want to record, brother.
Hey Ruby, you say you don't see yours. It's down the bottom by participants, chat, share screen, pause. I mean, right down the bottom. You're on your computer, am I correct?
No, I'm on my cell phone. I just got off of work, so I'm driving. I'm on my cell phone.
You're traveling and it won't work on your cell.
No.
Okay.
He's gonna send out the recording though.
Yeah, we gonna make sure everybody get it. So if you are on your phone, don't worry.
Much gratitude.
Okay, I just raised my hand. On the laptop.
I'm sorry.
I just raised my hand on the laptop to record.
Okay, down there somewhere. Yeah, you have permission already. So I think now you have to hit record. Is that correct, Maria?
Yeah, I need permission on the one that has a video, my video on it.
Yeah, so once you grant them permission, they would have to manually click record.
Thank you, Brother Zionite.
You're welcome.
All right, so who isn't able to record just yet? Who doesn't have permission?
D Stone.
Are you on like 2 accounts?
Yep.
I got you. Is it T? No, that ain't you. Oh, I see. All right. All right. I enable D Stone. Is that everybody for the recording? I guess if you're on the computer, you know, I see red dots going. So is that everybody? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Repeat that again, Ron.
I was saying that if you have not been enabled to record, please let us know. And can y'all can let y'all hands down if you have been able to record or if you're on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if they gave me permission or not.
Nah, you on a phone, Claude, so I don't think you can record, bro. Sorry.
Ralph, I'm trying to brag, and I got $1,000 phone. I don't have a Mickey Mouse. I can record, brother.
Hey, you know, Mickey Mouse.
Why you
Funny.
playing?
It's not about the phone, it's the feature.
Yeah, it's
It's
the
the feature.
feature. Yeah, you can't record unless you on a laptop, unfortunately.
Yeah, you gave me permission on the wrong one though, bro.
Oh, I did?
Yes, sir.
All right.
King
one-
Davy with the jump man.
Raise your hand on that. Oh,
My
that's
bad,
the
brother.
Yeah, take that one down.
I don't see you. Where you at?
It's the one with the video. I got one with the video, one without.
Well, you know, on the participants list, I can't see no video.
Oh, right, my bad.
I'm about to. Did you raise your hand yet? I just want to make sure we got everybody in before we get started. On the computer, D Stone,
No.
can you raise your hand for me so it'll just pop up at the top, please? Whoever trust is, you have permission already. India, you're on a cell phone. Thurman, you're on the cell phone. And Jesse K, you have permission already. You have to hit record manually, according to our Zoom experts. BB, to lower your hand, you gotta go to
Reaction. She's got to go to reaction.
you go to reactions, BB.
Down at the bottom, and because once they see your hand raised, it'll say lower hand.
Oh, right, I can lower your hand too, can't I? Never mind.
Mhm.
All right. Are you good now, D Stone?
Yeah.
All right, my man. All right, so cool. Everybody is good. Juliana, did you get yeah, you got it, Juliana. I think that's you. All right, we got everybody recording. So let me just move all these windows out of my way so that I can get right into this. Keynote. All right. Thank you for coming out, everybody who showed up. I really appreciate you guys. I got loved ones, my extended Zoom family, blood ones, et cetera, in the building. And I do appreciate everybody. My hope is that at the end of this presentation, everybody on here can go and set up their own trust We really got the templates laid out for you already. So we want to make it as easy as possible. I'm going to ask that while we're going through the presentation, if everybody can hold their questions or type your questions in the chat. And then once we get to the end, we'll review all of the questions and we'll answer them to the best of our ability. There are a lot of people who have information on this call right now. So I'm sure your question can get answered if I can't answer it as well.
Are you sure you don't want to just have them raise their hand? Because I'm sure it's going to be a whole lot of other stuff in the chat besides questions.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that is, but I will definitely scroll through the whole chat just to see whatever questions. Maybe if you have a question, if you could put like a question mark for your question, then that way we'll know what a question. So is everybody in agreement with that? Make it a little easier. All right, cool. All right, so if you were on Maria's call last night, we were talking about trust, and I believe, I don't know if that was that, it was like a few Zooms. We do a lot of different Zooms. It might have been a think tank. However, we have a documented proof that America is a trust. And so I always explain to people that if you're operating in trust and you're not operating in your all caps corporate fiction name, then you are providing a level of protection for yourself and your assets and your revenue streams, whatever it is. So again, the purpose of this presentation is to delve into the foundation of a trust. I'm not going through all of the intricate details because yeah, please. But yeah, I want to it's more so it's I would say it's a beginner level presentation. We got somebody who got some noise over there.
They need to mute their mic. A lot of mics are open.
Let me give me a co-host. Hold
on. That's what you need.
You know what I'm saying? There we go. Right. 1 second, y'all, because I just want to make sure everybody is. All right. Here we go. Pardon me, one more time and close all these windows out, y'all. All right, cool. All right, so let's get into it again. All we need is trust. That's really the whole idea of what we demonstrating here. All right, there are many types of trust, way more than I could ever list. However, I just listed maybe about 10 or 12 or something of that nature. You have the revocable trust, which is your living trust. They call it the living trust. I have highlighted and can be changed. So this is a trust that, hey, if you write this trust out and you were incapacitated or you happen to be in a position, then obviously your heirs or whoever can come and change the trust, or the trustees, whoever in charge of your trust can also change. Wow, it's just like, all right. So, and then, so the second one, you have the irrevocable trust, which when you obviously, irrevocable is the opposite of revocable. It cannot be changed, obviously, unless you put that into the bylaws or the indenture of your trust. So My favorite obviously would be the irrevocable trust, because whatever I set in stone, that's what it will be. And then change that later on in life. I wish I could take that ding dong thing off. Anywho, so you have a testamentary trust, which is a will trust. It's a trust that doesn't come into existence unless you pass on or transition into the next realm. The special needs trust, you see, I know for mentally disabled. This is for protection of Medicaid and other government benefits. So if you are somebody who got a whole lot of money or have money, and you are above the median for people who qualify for Medicaid or government assistance, things of that nature, some people set up trusts like that. I have a friend who just recently passed, and I know they had $1 million in a trust. However, there was a company that ran his trust, and they paid him some to the tune of $4,000 a month or something like that, and they paid all his bills. $2,000 a month, paid all his bills and things like that. And that way, he was able to keep his insurance. And that's really an interesting thing right there, because you got people who actually can afford Medicaid and I mean, who can afford their own, medical, whatever they need. And they're getting these trusts so that they can say, hey, I don't have any money. I'm taken care of by this entity, and this entity pays all my bills, and they give me a monthly stipend, and that keeps me under the median so that I could actually qualify for Medicaid or certain government benefits. And obviously we know that that's on the taxpayer's dollar. That's a real.
May I, can you move the color setting, please? Because you can hardly see the rest of it.
What you mean?
You have a color setting right there on your screen, and it's blocking the words.
Oh, all right. Thank you. Thank you, Maria.
Okay.
Why ain't nobody tell me that?
I did, bro.
I didn't even, if you putting things in the chat, just so everybody know, I can't see the chat because I'm on full screen. Is everything clear from out of the obstruction of the screen?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you good.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Empress. Thank you. And thank you. I'm putting things in the chat, but again, everybody, I'm not able to look at the chat because my screen is completely covered with the presentation. All right, so moving on. You have a joint trust, which they also call a A-B trust. Really, a A-B trust is different from a joint trust. However, I group them together because this is typically a trust that married couples like to set up. The surviving spouse becomes a trustee, and the decedent's assets are transferred into the trust. So if you are the living survivor of your marriage and your spouse unfortunately meet their demise, then what will actually happen is your spouse's assets go to the trust, and then those will be held in trust. Now, a trust is where two different trusts are set up at the same time, and so the living person's assets and valuables and belongings will remain in trust A, and the decedent's assets will go into trust B. And that's why I put those together, because the first joint trust is where it's really just one trust where whoever dies first, they stuff go to trust. But the AB, you both have a trust. So it's like having two trusts. Obviously you have number 6, which is your charitable trust. For charitable purposes, they can have it set up where, hey, we'll donate a certain amount every month or a whole portion or whatever the case may be, but it's basically set up for charitable purposes. Typically, very wealthy people do things like this. I think that some of these trusts are trusts that I would never actually set up. But I just wanted to list them to kind of give you guys an idea of why people set up different types of trust. So moving on. The many types of trust continue. The blind, where if you have, let's say, children who you don't really want them, or let's just a wife and you don't want your husband, or a husband and you don't want your wife having any knowledge of the assets and business activities. That is what a blind trust is. I honestly, I mean, I'm just being real with you. I don't see why anyone would want to set up a trust like that, you know, where you don't allow your beneficiaries to have knowledge of your assets, and you're just giving the trustee full discretion of the assets, and they just do whatever they're supposed to do and pay out the beneficiaries according to your trust indenture and whatever that says. So again, that blind trust for me is something that I would not even be interested in setting up, because I would like for my heirs to be aware of the assets that we have in our trust and on our portfolio. So moving on, insurance trust. This is another beautiful trust for anybody who has an insurance policy. You can transfer your insurance policy into the trust. It's a beautiful thing, I believe, and then that way you can control how the finances are distributed in that insurance policy through trust. I mean, you can do this as well, you know, with the insurance policy itself. However, remember, people keep things in trust to protect themselves, and we'll get into some of those reasons why we actually create trust, so I won't jump the gun with that. So number 9, the spendthrift trust. This is a trust where you set this up for young children or financially irresponsible beneficiaries. So if you have a wife who has a shopping habit or a husband who has a gambling, for example, you will want to set up a spendthrift trust, so that way the money can be distributed a certain kind of way. You know, they won't be able to just go and liquidate the complete trust. You know, you set that up. And again, this is according to your own will. A lot of people don't have millions and millions of dollars. However, I think that everybody who is involved on this call and on the Zoom calls that we participate in, I believe that we all plan to have high levels of finance with some of the things that we're working on. So now moving on to number 10, you notice that I put an asterisk by number 10, the Pure Trust Organization, which is the common law trust. This is the trust that we are going to be reviewing today. This is the trust that I recommend everybody set up, and the reasons why, we'll go through those things throughout the presentation. Number 11, a deed of trust. Now, I put this here because this is something that we are all gonna eventually do as we go on throughout the weeks, you know, and I want to put it together properly so that it can be presented in accordance. The first thing I want you to learn is the Pure Trust Organization, because it's based under the common law. And we all know that we love the common law. Anybody who has been on this Maria's call or Aisha's call for the last, I've been around you guys for a year, and we are all looking to be in the common law jurisdiction, and we'll go over that as we go throughout this presentation. And anywho, the deed of trust is a transfer of legal property title to a third party. That's a very vague definition. It does make sense. However, we'll go over that even further at another time. And then 12, you have the religious trust, which is also one of my favorite trusts. So numbers 10 and 12, the nation of Wakanda, you may have heard the Empress mention the Wakanda Telegram chat. The nation of Wakanda is set up as a religious trust. The Moorish Science Temple of America is set up as a religious trust. So just to give you an idea about a religious trust, it is actually the 508c1a that everybody talks about. I want a 508 instead of a 501c3. Well, that would be your religious trust. So moving on. I also wanted to list business trust, just to go through that, because there's also a business trust that is kind of under the common law as well. However, you know, it's for a different purpose. So that's why I wanted to bring, you know, the business trust into the presentation as well. So the first one you have is a grantor trust, which is taxable. The grantor retains complete control over the trust in a trustee capacity. That's not considered a pure trust, because when you establish a trust as the grantor, then you're giving complete control over your trust to a trustee, and you no longer own the property. The trust owns the property. So with a grantor trust, business trust, obviously the grantor is maintaining their control over all of the assets. A simple trust, where the trustee must distribute the earnings, while the principal is untouched or unchanged. So if you put $1 million in that trust and you're making, let's just say, $250,000 in earnings annually off of that trust, then the trustee must distribute that $250,000 that you're making, but the principal remains inside of the trust, and the beneficiary income is taxable, and you cannot make any charitable donations. I'm listing these things because, again, in my opinion, you want to stay away from the first two trusts. Number 3 is a complex trust, where the principal and earnings may also be distributed, but you must maintain a form of income. So if you're not making any money, then you are in violation of the statutes for setting up a complex trust. And there are other trusts, you know, like a Massachusetts trust. I didn't include those in the presentation. I just, again, wanted to give a few little examples. So charitable donations are allowed in the complex trust. So moving on to number 4, as you can see, I have an asterisk right next to it. The unincorporated business trust, or unincorporated association, you know, we talked about that briefly last night. This, in my opinion, is very similar to the common law trust. Honestly, it really, to me, it's no different. And I mean, some people may say there's a difference. The only difference may be what you actually set that trust up for. However, I don't think that there is a real difference between the two. And I'll show you why in a split second. So moving on to the next slide. The main benefits of forming a trust. Number 1, separation. The living, breathing man from the corporate fiction, or the all caps ens legis entity / corporation. Most of you guys on the call, some of my relatives who are on the call, may have heard about people speaking about straw man and all these different things. Your all caps name is a corporation. Keep that thought in mind for when we actually go through this trust document. All right, so moving on. Number 2, asset, legal, and liability protection. Creditors, lawsuits, bankruptcy, divorce, etc. People set up a trust so that they can avoid creditors, avoid lawsuits. If I file bankruptcy, everybody, if you don't know about Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 bankruptcy, I think it's Chapter 7 where they liquidate your assets and sell them all off to cover your debts and things of that nature. If you have a property held in trust and you file bankruptcy, remember, you don't own the property. The trust owns the property. We have this thing that we repeat over and over again throughout the Zoom calls that we are on, saying, own nothing, control everything. And another thing about a trust that I want to mention, the key word is, my brother Idris, I think he's on the call with us now. He always says you gotta trust somebody. That's the purpose of the trust. You want to make sure that if you're setting up trustees on your trust, that is somebody you trust. Divorce. I'm not trying to encourage anybody to do anything slick. However, I do know of an instance where a guy owned a lot of properties He moved them over into trust. He divorced his wife, or I believe they were in trust from the beginning. He divorced his wife. I think she was able to get one of those properties, but she couldn't touch the other properties because they were not his anymore. They were held in trust. All right, number 3, the third benefit of setting up a trust is to avoid the court actions like probate, inheritance taxes, estate taxes, etc. A lot of us, we don't set up a trust. People are encouraged to set up a will. Attorneys, from my research, encourage people to set up a will because a will still will put you back under the court jurisdiction. And the thing about the court, they work for the system. They are agents, and they're here to try to get your money. We were talking about coveting. They're coveting what you have. They desire to have what is yours or to make a profit off of it. And that's what they're doing when they tax you. So keep that in mind. If you have an elder who is up there in age, if you can encourage your people to establish a trust so that you can avoid those estate taxes, and avoid the probate, then everything will be set up already and the beneficiaries can be listed. You don't have to have relatives fighting over everything, because we all know if any of us have lost loved ones, the first thing people want to do is fight over whatever it is that the deceased person has left in this realm. And this is where the beginning of a whole lot of family fallouts happen. If you have your trust established, you can avoid a lot of problems. So moving on, number 4, privacy. There is no public record or title or ownership can be distributed to heirs in secrecy. That is one of the most important things for me, because again, as you'll see, the trust that we are talking about, as far as the common law trust and the unincorporated business trust, those are protected under the Constitution. And we'll get into that very shortly. Number 5, perpetuity. When you set up a trust, obviously, unless you set up a revocable trust, it cannot be changed, challenged, or contested against your will. This is why I personally would rather have an irrevocable trust than a revocable trust. Now, depending on what you're using it for, and again, we can get deeper into these things as we go. This is just for you to have a general understanding, and then for you to be able to go and set your common law trust up once we are finished with this presentation. So moving on. Number 6, minimize or eliminate tax burden. That's on the page by itself because we already know we don't want to be taxed out here, and we want to avoid or minimize as much taxation as we possibly can. So moving on. The disadvantages of forming a trust, because everybody always is telling you, oh, it's all good. There are a couple things, and I only put, I believe, these 2. Now, in relation to a revocable trust, when you create a revocable trust, you forfeit many of the aforementioned benefits. So this is why I would rather set up an irrevocable trust, because when you set up a revocable trust, then you don't have all of those beautiful benefits that you have when you set up an irrevocable trust. And most of those benefits that I just showed you guys are in relation to the irrevocable trust. Number 2, maintenance. All right. A trust requires knowledge of how to operate to be in compliance of all laws, statutes, ordinance, etc. So we'll go a little further about statutes and all of those different things. However, you want to have knowledge of how a trust works, how to run your trust, or how a trust is ran, because they do require a trustee and things of that nature. So again, we just want to make sure that everybody knows how to run their own trust. That'll be, for me, that is the goal of how to set up your trust, and understand it is really not hard. It's really a contract. It's really not hard at all. So moving on, trust jurisdiction. This is my favorite part. All right, you have your statutory trust, which is a trust entity created and regulated by legislation, governed by statutes, and must conform to said statutes. So we already know, most of us on this call, we don't want to set up a statutory trust, because once you set up a statutory trust, then you have placed yourself in the statutory jurisdiction. And everybody who's into etymology, if you look at the word statutory, you can reduce that to the word state. So now you have put these people inside of your business. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Moving on. Constitutional trust. This is the one right here. A trust entity created and regulated under the law of contract established by the Constitution for the United States, Article 1, Section 10. So unlimited right to contract. They cannot impede upon your right to contract. So this is why I listed the common law trust as a pure trust, because if you don't, I'll wait till I get to that bridge before I cross it. So yes, it's a contract more so than it is a trust, but it is a trust at the same time because you're listing trustees and beneficiaries. However, again, it's a contract. So moving on, statutory versus constitutional trust. A statutory trust holds property until death, is usually revocable, usually has a legal termination date. D, typically only protects property. E, statutory provisions and regulations. F, split legal and equitable title. If you've been on the Zoom calls with us, then that should send bells off into your mind, because we all talk about equity all the time. G, no lawful consideration is required. H, founded on a privilege instead of a right. We know about privileges and permissions. Mm-hmm. So moving on. Constitutional trust owns property in a fee simple form. It's irrevocable, meaning it is perpetual. You can, I would say, train your heirs how to set up a trust so that at the end of a certain amount of time, granted 20 to 25 years, they create another trust, transfer assets over. I would repeat this process every 20 years. Every 20 years, I'll repeat this process. So just throwing that out there. Letter C, cannot be terminated by statute. Here we go, may be renewed every 20 years. There you go. I didn't even see that right there as I was saying it. D, can operate as a business. Listen at that. And that's why I say that the pure trust or the common law trust and the unincorporated business trust is one and the same. E, and here's another reason why they're one and the same, because they're established from contract law, which is in the Constitution. F, legal and equitable title remains combined. Very important for me. G, lawful consideration is required per 31 USC 5112. And H, the opposite of a statutory trust, is founded on rights instead of a. We know that we rather reserve our rights than to, deal with any sorts of privileges whatsoever. So moving on, the structure of a trust. You have the guarantor, who is the trust creator. And I'm not putting these in chronological order, guys. I'm just so we throw that there. The reason I put trust second is because typically the guarantor creates the trust. So, they are going to find their trustees first. However, if you don't have a trust, you don't have any trustees. So, and really, we do create verbal trust. We are speaking in reference to trusts that are created on paper today. So for clarity, I should have clarified that from the beginning, because if I tell you, hey, here's $10, can you go to the store and grab me a loaf of bread and bring my change back? We just established a trust. That's simple. And you're the trustee. You're the one that I entrusted, and I'm the beneficiary because you're gonna bring me my change and my bread back. So moving on. The trust itself, which is the trust indenture declaration of, I'm sorry. Okay. Minutes, schedules, etc. Then you have your trustees who act on behalf of the beneficiaries. They manage the assets, they run the trust, they hold the property in the trust. Then you have what is called the exchanger or the settler. They are the individual that conveys property. I'm sorry, is somebody saying something?
You go by Kilo?
Say that again. Oh, that's somebody who need to be muted.
Yeah.
Sheesh. Let me see real quick because I don't want to interrupt. All right, it looked like they muted out. Cool. Please, everybody, mute out if you can when you come. It should have been on mute out already when you come in. But anywho, moving on. The exchanger or settler conveys the property into the trust and issues certificate in exchange for property / assets. So I, being the guarantor of the trust, would talk to my exchanger, who can actually be one of the trustees, and say, hey, I'm going to give you this house, right? And there we're going to create certificates for the assets that are in the trust. So let's just give a scenario real quick. The trust, let's say I have 10 beneficiaries. I will draw up 10 trust certificates. I actually have some trust paper over here. And then I would say, okay, with those 10, you all have, these are 10 shares in this trust, or 10%. I'll just use percentages for lack of better words right now. They would issue those certificates to my beneficiary. I would get a certificate also for conveying that property into the trust, and then they would create those other certificates to give to my beneficiaries so that they can have evidence that they are a beneficiary of this trust. So that way, you know, when it comes down to it, hey, where my money at? You know, if it's, let's just say if it's millions of dollars we're dealing with and my heirs are getting those their share of the proceeds, you know, whatever money is flipped, or I don't want to use the word income. So whatever revenue stream is created, that will be distributed to my heirs, and they will be holding those certificates. So anywho, the corpus is the property or the assets that are in the trust. So moving on from that's pretty much self-explanatory. The beneficiaries are the ones who benefit from the profits and proceeds, and they hold the trust certificates, also known as capital units. So they are the capital unit holders of the, you know, the proceeds and profits of the trust. And, you know, let's just say when a certain age level is reached, you know, you'll have scenarios for whatever happened, and your heirs can say, hey, we want to transfer these things over into another trust. I mean, again, you can really set your trust up however you want to, you know, and that would be your own will. So keep in mind, even though I'm giving you a template, I encourage you guys to make it your own, because when you make it your own, it's your own words and your own thoughts. You may say, hey, I don't want my trustee to be able to do this or be able to do that. So you want to make sure that whatever it is you desire in your trust, you know, that'll be set up beforehand. And then you won't have to worry about, when you're gone, any discrepancies or anything like that. So moving on. Hold on, why am I not? For some reason, hold on, let me just exit out and go back in again. All right, cool. Moving on. that's it. That's why. All right. So let's get to the actual trust. So now we done with the presentation. Thank you guys for dealing with me for the moment, and everybody being patient, for everybody coming in and out and all of that. So I'm going to open this trust document so that we can go through it. If there are some kindred on here who would like to meeting, I will, kick it off. I don't have a problem with starting it off, but I don't mind if anybody else wants to be engaged with the reading. So there is a cover page that, goes over the trust, which will also be included for you. Template setup, it'll be a separate page from what is on here right now, because this is one whole PDF file. And we will, let me see if I can zoom. Actually, I'll just scroll, everybody, because I need it to be large like this so that I can read it. Let me see if I can zoom it in a little bit more. All right. So as you can see, ABC Trust, you would put your name here. If you're setting up a family trust, for example, me, mine would be the Metcalf L Trust. If you're setting up a business trust, obviously it would be the Metcalf Company Trust. I wouldn't even use the word company, but again, you can say Metcalf Business Trust. I'm just throwing some words out there. These are fictionary titles, so you can use whatever title your heart desires. Then you see Declaration of Irrevocable Trust, established on, you would fill in your blanks right here, and you can even put your EIN number right here. Now, what I would do with this part right here, if everybody actually goes through this process, these 17 pages, and set up their trust, then we'll double back in and we'll do a 9/8 Zoom or something like that, where we can show everybody how to get a 9/8 number. And that probably wouldn't take long at all, because it's not a long drawn out process. And I will also, after that process, share a document, because I have a document typed up that'll walk you through the steps of getting a 9/8 number for your trust. So moving on. This indenture or agreement made on this day, month, year, date serves as a declaration of trust and shall continue for a term of 25 years from this day between, name herein known as the settlor and party of the first part, and John trustee herein known as the first trustee or trustee, party of the second part, under the name of, then of course you would put your trust there. And again, you can have multiple trustees. You want to generally start off with a trustee to put in this document. With this agreement, the parties intend to create a private contract express trust to the benefit of the settlor's family, heritors, and heirs, hereinafter beneficiaries, for the purpose of identifying, accumulating, purchasing, and holding all assets that become available, and to provide for a prudent administration and distribution system administered by legal persons acting in a fiduciary capacity. A lot of words we've been going over. All right, witness it. Whereas the settlor irrevocably assigns and conveys to the trustee the specific property identified in the attached Schedule A, in exchange for 100 trust certificate units, which are to be transferred and held in trust for the beneficiaries until dissolution and disbursement of said trust. Whereas the trust is authorized to exist and function through its board of trustees, comprised of the total active number of trustees collectively as the board. So that means all of the trustees collectively moving together as a board, as board members, and as a board collectively. Whereas the shall be amendable as described in the bylaws, and shall be irrevocable by the settlor or by any other person or entity. It is the intention of the settlor to make to the beneficiaries an absolute gift of the trust certificate units, in which the beneficiaries shall not have any vested interest until the termination of this trust and final distribution of accumulated assets or an early distribution of the assets thereof. There shall be exactly 100 trust certificate units available to the beneficiary. If you only had one beneficiary, you can make that one certificate as 100 trust certificate units. Moving on. Whereas the trust shall be administered, managed, governed, and regulated in all respects according to applicable common law jurisdiction of, and you can put your state here. You can put even the Republic of Illinois there, if you don't want to put just the state right there. You can put the Republic before your state. A lot of our kindred are familiar with that terminology. Some of you may not be. There are two different sides. There's a statutory jurisdiction, which is the all caps state of Illinois. I'm gonna use that because that's where I'm at. And then you have the Republic, the Illinois Republic, which is a complete separate form of the government of that state. We the people. That's really what that is. So as well, I'll just start back over. Whereas the trust shall be administered, managed, governed, and regulated in all respects according to applicable common law jurisdiction of your state, as well as the Uniform Trustees Powers Act and the Constitution of the United States of America. I would change that to for the United States of America. And the Uniform Commercial Code only when and if applicable and or allowed to remain under the jurisdiction of the common law. The domicile of the trust is within obviously you see any place, county, state, republic. So the republic is actually here. So there you have it. Whereas the trustees, in addition to all other powers granted by this indenture and any subsequent minutes and bylaw, shall be given the following additional powers with respect to the trust to be executed from time to time at the discretion of the trustee. Management of the trust, to invest and reinvest, lease, rent, mortgage, insure, repair, improve, or sell any of the real and personal property of the trust as the trustee deems advisable, and to sell, liquidate, or continue to operate at the trustee's discretion and corporation, partnership, or other business interests which may be received or initiated by the trust. This is why we say you need to trust the individual who you are electing as the trustee over your trust, because they do have the right to do these things. Now, they can't just take the money and, piss it down the drain and not give it to your heirs. However, it's you still can see how if you have somebody who is not trustworthy, which obviously if you're not trustworthy, then you have no business being the trustee on a trust. So moving on, mortgages and property, to enforce any and all mortgages, pledges, and deeds of trust held by the trust, and to purchase at any sale thereunder any such real or personal property subject to any mortgage, pledge, or deed of trust. I mentioned deed of trust inside of the presentation. Litigation and adjustments of claims, to initiate or defend at the discretion of the trustee any litigation affecting the trust estate, and to submit to binding arbitration to settle, release, or adjust with or without compensation any and all claims affecting the trust estate or trust. So hopefully that is understood that, your trustee has the power of attorney pretty much. Attorneys, advisors, agents, and managers to employ and pay from the trust estate reasonable compensation to such attorneys. And you can decide what that looks like. You can be very specific on these terms. That's why I always say, do not just take the template and put your name in. You see something on here when you're reading through it that you say, I don't know if I want him to have that type of power. Then you can redact that information or expound on that information or make it more specific to not withstand. Let's just say, I'll give you an example. To employ and pay from the trust estate reasonable compensation to such attorneys, accountants, brokers, and investment to the sum of X amount of dollars per hour, or not to exceed 10% of the value of the assets held in trust. Just giving you an example. Tax and other advisors as the trust deems advisable. The trust may also employ a management company to provide for the preservation and growth of the trust assets. So they can hire let's just say a mutual fund and say, hey, we got $1 million over here. We want to make sure that this million is continuing to make and generate money for the next 25 years for the heirs and to pay the trustees their sum of money. How me and my brothers in my circle do it, we're not looking for any comp. We are each other's trustees. So my brother Arrow will have me as his trustee. I'll have him as mine, or my brother Osei will have me as his, and vice versa, or our brother Ogudina. So that's kind of how that works. I didn't mean to put you guys on blast. However, I'm just giving the people the real truth about how we set our stuff up so that they can, have an understanding and do the same thing with trustworthy ones who they have that same type of respect for. So then you see, in witness thereof, executed on this day, the settler's name, the first trustee, notice it mentions first trustee with the name, and then the notary here. And bam, you have your notary do their little stamp up, and that's, you're done right there. So moving on. Trust articles of organization. Article 1, trust name. You put the trust name right there. No, I'm sorry, you don't even have to put the trust name right there. You put the trust name in this paragraph right here. My apologies. The undersigned, desiring to establish a pure trust named, whatever that is, within the common law jurisdiction of Illinois Republic. That's what I would say. I'm just being honest with y'all. If you are in any of the United States territory, put the Republic at the end of that. Registered agent and principal office address. The principal office, mailing address, contact number, and registered agent, that's pretty simple right there. You have that, your first trustee's name, address, telephone number. Obviously, that's optional. Moving on. Purpose. The organizational purpose and intent of this trust is to maintain and improve this trust estate so the trust certificate unit holders may possess the things of life sufficient to provide for health, growth, protection, education, expansion, welfare, preservation, and continuation, and not just simply arrangement to protect and conserve the property for the beneficiaries. I think that's a very important purpose to have in your trust, because we all know that that's why we set up these trusts, because we want to make sure that our family is straight when we leave this plane, or should we become incapacitated or whatever. Moving on. Article 4, activities. The trust shall have the general power to do all lawful acts herein mentioned as full and to the same extent as natural persons might or could do. Man, fortunately, a lot of us have been on the calls, so we know about that natural person and what it is. So it has the same, it can do what your business can do, what your name can do, et cetera, including but not limited to maintaining or defending any action or any administrative or arbitration proceeding, holding meetings of its directors or shareholders, or carrying on other activities concerning its internal affairs, maintaining bank accounts and share accounts in savings and loan associations, and to make custodian or agency arrangements with a bank or trust company affecting sales through independent contractors. All right, moving on. Article 5, Board of Trustees. All powers shall be exercised under the authority of, and the affairs of the trust shall be managed under the direction of the Board of Trustees, except as otherwise provided by law or in these articles of organization and the bylaws of the trust. The Board of Trustees shall have the power to elect additional or successor trustees at any time. The name, address, and initial term of office of the first trustee of the board is as follows. And then you can control how long a trustee can remain in office in relation to your trust. So again, this is a beautiful template, in my opinion, because it's a lot of flexibility, and it shows you where you can have the control. So moving on, duration. The trust shall exist for 25 years from whatever date. The reason why I would advise everybody get acclimated with typing up these trusts and teach their heirs and share this video with your heirs and beneficiaries is because you want them to know how to set up a trust when the 25 years expire. Another note I just want to add, don't put all your assets under one trust. As you can see, a trust ain't nothing but a contract. So draw up another contract. If it's a house, put that in one trust. If you have a car, put that in the trust. Don't put two cars in the trust, because if somebody runs somebody over with the other car and then, that's held in trust, then you're going to have a problem. So I'm just throwing that out there. You all you have is a car in trust. You have a bank account trust to hold your money. And if you got over $1 million, then you want to put $250,000 in 4 different trusts. That's how I would do it. I'm giving you some insight. I would not put more than $250,000 in one bank account. That's just me. So moving on. Indemnification, very important. The trust shall indemnify its trustees, employees, and agents to the full extent permitted by the law, provided, however, that no such indemnification shall be permitted if such indemnification would violate the purpose of the trust as specified in these articles. The articles here is what govern your trust. This is the law. Nobody can come outside with some laws or anything. You are under the laws inside of the trust. That's why I love the whole idea and concept of operating in trust. Article 8, Article Fowler. In witness thereof, I, the undersigned, being one of the trustees herein before named, for the purpose of forming an irrevocable pure trust, make these articles, hereby declaring and certifying that the facts herein stated are true, and accordingly have hereunto set my hand this date. You can put it in there like that, the year of our Lord or whatever you want to do. I like the idea of using the 29th day of whatever month. You don't have to put the Anno Domini. You can even write out 2021 instead of putting the numbers right there. A lot of people do that. Trustee sign it, bam, and forget about it, So moving on. Bylaws, organizational purpose and intent. Article 1, Section 1. The purpose and intent of this trust is to maintain and improve this trust estate so the trust certificate unit holders may possess the things of life, which is probably the same thing that was repeated already. Sufficient to provide for health, growth, protection, education, expansion, welfare, preservation, and continuation, and not just simply arrangement to protect and conserve the property for the beneficiaries. Section 2, any person may add property to this trust estate by gift, will, exchange, bill of sale, quit claim, deed, or other transfer with the consent of the board and with the intent of the property eventually being distributed to the trust certificate unit holders, protecting our heirs. At the discretion of the trustees, make any purchase it deems prudent for its organizational purpose. And remember, you can, if you don't like that, you can erase it or you can expound upon it and say, hey, not surpassing 10% of the revenue stream of the trust or whatever the case may be. Moving on, Section 3. It is expressly declared that an unincorporated business trust by contract, otherwise known as irrevocable trust, or a pure trust is hereby created and not a living trust, or a partnership or a corporation or a company or a joint venture or a limited partnership or a limited liability company or a trust as defined by the Internal Revenue Code. We have the right to contract. So, hey, you covering yourself with Section 3 right there. So Section 4, if any sentence, paragraph, clause, section, or provision of this trust indenture, bylaws, or minutes of this trust is held to be unenforceable or invalid, it shall not affect any of the remaining provisions. Moving on, grantor-trustee relationship, Article 2, Section 1. It is against the purpose and intent of this trust for the income of the trust to be taxed to the settlor or trustee under the grantor trust provisions of the Internal Revenue Code. No trustee of this trust shall be deemed a grantor of this trust. You notice how, remember when I was speaking about the business trust, the first business trust, which is a grantor trust, the grantor retained all of the control. With this trust, you are giving total control to your trustees. So that is why you can see this is why this is beneficial for us. But moving on, section 2. No member of the board shall possess or use a power of administration in a non-fiduciary capacity, nor a power exercisable solely by that trustee to vest the trust assets or income in himself, or any other power, the possession or use of which would cause the income of the trust to be taxed to the first trustee or to the settler. Another protective clause. Section 3. The settler shall retain no power to control the assets placed in the trust, consistent with the purpose of keeping the income from being taxed to the settler under the grantor trust provisions of the Internal Revenue Code. Section 4. If it is shown that a grantor-trustee relationship exists, that trustee shall immediately resign and a new trustee assigned. Again, these are all for the protection of your heirs and their posterity. General Trust Administration, Article 3, Section 1. When the trust is the holder of a copyright or copywritten name, and a trustee endorses above the copyright or copywritten name for the authorization or the liability on a commercial instrument or agreement, then it shall be understood that such transaction was executed in the official business of whatever your trust name is, and not in the private capacity of said trustee, or in the private capacity of any other individual or entity. Section 2. Under no circumstances shall the settler have any interest in any investment made by the board other than such legal interest as would any outside person have to the trust in the particular transaction. Number 3, the board of trustees may purchase from or sell to the settler any property, but always at fair market value and for full consideration. Section 4, the settler shall not have the power to reacquire trust property or any part thereof by substituting the property of an equivalent value. You hear that? Very important that you follow the laws of your trust, because it could put you in trouble and then your trust could potentially be breached. Section 5, funds accruing in the treasury of the trust shall constitute the operating funds of the trust. The board may sell any trust assets for the purpose of adding to these funds. The board shall, as it deems proper and necessary, provide for operating funds through any type of borrowing, either secured or unsecured. So I think these are all self-explanatory. They can only do these things for the purpose of adding to the funds, not for taking away purposes. Section 6, the board may also designate any other entity to hold funds or title to trust property for any purposes necessary to further the intent of the trust. And again, you can expound on that. It does not have to sound all professional. You can put it in your own words, I limit it to blank, 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 whatever your will is. You express that. You want to get into the habit of expressing your will, because a lot of us, we don't know how to draw up something like this from scratch or draw up a contract from scratch. I think it's important that we understand contract law, because that is what's going to keep us in the common law jurisdiction. So moving on, Section 7, the board shall pay all mortgages, property taxes, charges, debts, bills, and obligations arising out of the maintenance, operation, and administration of the trust and estate out of trust operating funds. And again, you can say the operating funds are apportioned at this rate or whatever the case may be. It's your will. Remember that. Your will be done. Section 8, the board shall pay for any rent of a property used by the first trustee if this trustee uses the property to conduct the business of the trust or to administer any business operated by the trust. So if you have a building, commercial location, then obviously they can pay the rent. If you're renting this particular commercial location for the operation of this trust, then they can rent that out. That is included. And you can change that to your heart's desire. Section 9, the board is further authorized to pay expenses of trustees, officers, executives, managers, and the like persons incurred while on trust business. So if you're sending somebody out to California to go and purchase a property, then the trust, the board is authorized to pay for their flight and their hotel. Don't you think that's just right? They're an employee of your trust. You want to make sure you're fair and that everybody gets paid. I don't look at that as a bad, again, you can create stipulations that, allow yourself to not be taken advantage of. However, you should just have somebody you trust. As we always say, the word here is trust. That's why I say all we need is trust. Not just, we just need a trust. We need to trust someone. So if we have someone we can trust, then these things that we are going through tonight will be very beneficial. So moving on, trust management, Article 4, Section 1, the board shall, at its discretion, have power in connection with the management and control of the trust to appoint one of its trustees or a qualified non-trustee to the position of general trust manager. Obviously, that's somebody who's just a manager, but not actually a trustee. Section 2, the GTM shall be deemed an independent contractor and not an employee of the trust. No, Section 3, the GTM shall be compensated by his or her services as recorded in any minute. And again, you want to record your minutes to your trust. So all of the meetings that take place in relation to your trust should be recorded so that, you can have those things on file. This is what happened. We agreed that it would be wise for us to sell this property to add to the corpus of the trust. And bam, they sell the property. Okay, we sold this property to so-and-so on this date, so on and so forth. That would be included in your minutes. All right, the GTM shall have full authority to manage the trust, including but not limited to the routine day-to-day operations subject to the approval of the Board of Trustees. If you have a lot of properties, then that's why you have all these different clauses in here. I mean, if you literally just, have a bank account or something like that, it's not going to really cost you any money to run your trust. I mean, this can really be ran for $0. Me and the brothers who I mentioned, we're not incurring any fees. I mean, there may be a bank account set up with those financial assets held inside of them. Fine. Typically, if you have over $1,500 in an account, you're not paying any, monthly fees at your bank. So the GTM shall have, Section 5, the GTM shall have absolute and sole discretioner's power over this organization, its assets and earnings and day-to-day operations. You can limit that or expound on that if you desire. Section 6, the first trustee shall hold all management duties and responsibilities in the event that the office of GTM is not assigned. So typically, you don't have to hire somebody for that, but it's there. You can delete those out of your trust if you don't even want a general trust manager. So trustees' powers, Article 5, Section 1, where is not otherwise prohibited by law, the trustees shall have general common law powers over the trust estate herein and may do anything any citizen may lawfully do in any state or country. Specifically, but not by way of limitation, they shall have all rights, authorities, and power as follows. A, to make a loan with interest to the trust for any purpose, and such transaction shall be entered as a first lien against the state, which must be repaid as long as the transaction is recorded in the minutes of the trust. Very important to have those minutes there and to have that clause also. B, to appoint secondary trustees, and the board shall increase or decrease the number of trustees as needed to manage the affairs of the trust. So if you got a $10 million trust, you may need 10 trustees to manage that. However, once you start closing down at the end of the trust and getting rid of assets, you can actually get rid of trustees. Moving on. C, to appoint a first secretary whose sole duties and powers shall be to serve as a protector of the interest of the beneficiaries hereof. The first secretary shall have the power to remove any secondary trustee upon written notice, so long as the first secretary shall appoint a qualified successor trustee who shall take the office at the time of the removal of the removed successor trustee. Do you see how that clause right there will protect you? You can have another person that you trust as your first secretary. So now, you know, more control, giving you more control over the trust, even though you don't have any control over the trust, if that makes sense. Wink, wink. D, to compromise or abandon any claims arising out of, in favor of, or against the company and its trust estate, and the trustee's good faith decision in that regard shall be binding and conclusive on all parties. So, moving on. E, to manage, invest, and reinvest the trust estate or any part thereof in any kind of property or venture which men of prudence, discretion, and intelligence consider for their own account, without being restricted to investments which are ordinarily permitted by law or customarily used for trust funds, and without restrictions as to the duration of this trust. Specifically included, but not by way of limitation, are real estate, collectibles, gems, artworks, precious metals, corporate obligations of every kind, preferred and common stock, commodities, mutual funds, and trust funds. Covering everything here. That's why I like this trust template, guys. F, to open, maintain, or close bank accounts as necessary to receive and hold and or to purchase or sell in trust any financial property for the use and benefit of the beneficiaries. G, to sell, and it may seem like it's repeating a lot of stuff, but again, this section is about the powers of your trustee. So just remember, law is specific, as my brother Arrow always say to me. Law is specific. So we want to be very specific. Moving on. G, to sell at public or private sale for cash, credit, or both, and upon such terms and conditions as the trustees may deem proper. H, to sell, grant, convey, mortgage, option, rent, lease, or pledge all trust estate assets, real, personal, or mixed, in such manner as deemed appropriate. I, to borrow on or encumber the trust estate without restriction, and to make loans with or without security. All borrowed funds shall immediately become a part of the trust estate. J, to allocate capital gains. Now you heard that one right there. All borrowed funds shall immediately become property of the trust estate. So if they took out $100,000 line of credit with the trust, it immediately becomes property of the trust. So J, to allocate capital gains and or dividends to trust principal as may be deemed appropriate or advantageous to the trust estate. K, to register company property in the name of the company, a fictitious trade name of the company, a trustee or nominee, so long as company ownership of such property can be clearly demonstrated. You know what that's saying right there. And if you don't, basically, y'all can do all these things, but make sure we know that the trust owns this, not you. L, to make distributions in cash or in kind and to assign values to such property according to the trustee's best judgment. M, to accept additions to the trust estate by deed, will, assignment, exchange, gift, grant, insurance proceeds, or any other methods deemed acceptable to the trustees. The trustees are further authorized to honor any buy-sale agreements extent as to any property or interest held in trust. I love that clause right there because it shows you why I like this trust so much, because you have that insurance trust that we were talking about incorporated into this trust. This trust is a very complete trust. It has a lot of things in it. It really kind of covers a lot of those trusts. That's why I kind of listed those things. So moving on. N, to elect and remunerate officers from the board or elsewhere as deemed appropriate or expedient, to hire and remunerate employees, agents, or contractions, to incur and pay the ordinary and necessary expenses of administration, including but not limited to legal fees, accountants' fees, trustee fees, brokerage fees, consulting fees, and the like, and to allocate all the expenses and receipts between principal and income as the trustee shall deem proper. O, to give proxies to deposit securities with and transfer title to committees representing securities holders, and to participate in voting trusts, reorganizations, and other transactions involving the common interest of security holders. Now, that's a very important one as well. I won't go super deep into that, but everybody knows that your birth certificate is a security. It's a bond. It's a blank trust indenture. So just throwing that out there, that can be in relation also to the birth certificate. P, to open margin accounts with securities firms and commodities traders, and to buy, write, or trade in options, commodities, and to make short sales. The trustees shall be empowered to hold securities in their own names, the name of a nominee in street name, or unregistered in such condition that ownership will pass. You hear that? Or unregistered in such a condition that ownership will pass. The trustees shall incur no liability to the company for further. Any securities firm or commodities trader may rely on this document and the trust provisions herein in respect of a trustee authority without making further inquiry. Q, I know it's a lot, y'all, but just bear with us because, again, law is specific and you want to make sure you got all this stuff laid out. And you'll see as we read that this covers a lot of different things, and it may miss something. Feel free to add or subtract as you please. Q, to hold, manage, and operate any company, property, or business or enterprise, the profits and losses, if any therefrom, shall be chargeable respectively to the trust estate. R, to pay all taxes out of the trust estate where taxes are required by law, and to have complete discretion, power, and authority to make any decisions or elections that would effectively minimize such taxes. Hint, hint right there. S, the trustee may expressly delegate one or more of their powers to any other person or persons as may be deemed expedient for the management of company affairs, and may revoke such delegation at any time by written notice delivered to such persons. T, the trustees by a majority vote may change the domicile of the company with or without cause if they deem such change will protect or benefit the trust estate. U, the trustees by unanimous vote may make amendments to this contract and declaration and take such other consequential actions as they deem necessary or appropriate to protect the integrity of the trust and to ensure the trust will continue to function and be administered in the best interest of certificate holders and in the manner intended. V, the trustees by majority vote may at any time and at their sole discretion wind up company affairs, terminate this trust, and make distributions of the trust estate to certificate holders as provided herein. Now, if they're going to do something like that, you want to have your heirs knowledgeable on how to set up a trust so that they can convey those things right into another trust instead of putting it in their personal name. Because obviously we know that when you put it in that personal name, that name is a part of the statutory jurisdiction. I'll just say it like that. Acceptance by trustees, and we getting there, y'all. Some of these are shorter pages, but I'm grateful that we can read all these things. Article 6, Section 1. The first trustee for himself and all subsequent trustees and successor trustees, by accepting the appointment as trustee of this trust, causes all present and future trustees to agree to the following. A, the acceptance of the initial gift or conveyance of property on behalf of the trust and acknowledge the delivery of all property specified on Schedule A. B, the acceptance and agreement to conduct the trust affairs in good faith in conformity with the terms and conditions set forth in this contract and its inherent trust provisions. C, the agreement to exercise their best judgment and discretion to conserve and improve the property of the trust estate in accordance with decisions of the Board of Trustees as set forth in the trust minutes. D, the agreement to, upon final liquidation of the trust estate, to distribute the assets to the existing certificate holders as their contingent rights may appear. Resignation and removal of trustees or officers. Article 7, Section 1. Any trustee, trust manager, or trust officer may resign from their duties with the trust by appropriately providing 30 days written notice. Section 2, secondary trustee may be removed from office for gross neglect of duty. A, removal is done by the unanimous vote of the trustees. B, by mandate of court when guilty of fraud, theft, malfeasance in office or other legal cause. Section 3, and again, that's a protection clause for you. Section 3, in the event of death, resignation, or removal from office of any trustee, the Board of Trustees shall, by unanimous vote, either appoint a successor trustee, which you can actually appoint your own successor trustees in this trust indenture, or reduce the number of trustees by one. See that they can just say, hey, he gone, we gonna be the trustees now. Section 4, if there is no trustee left to vote for a successor trustee, the beneficiaries may apply to a court of competent jurisdiction to appoint a new first trustee who shall have the power to appoint other trustees. Now I'm gonna drop a jewel on y'all real quick. We have our tribal governments established. And if we have our tribal court, then that should tell you something right there. You can literally utilize your tribal court, and you can even add that into this section, a court of competent jurisdiction or a tribal court of whatever, the Delaware Nation. I'm just, since we talk so much about the Delaware Treaty. So just starting from, again, on Section 4, if there is no trustee left to vote for a successor trustee, the beneficiaries may apply to a court of competent jurisdiction to appoint a new first trustee who shall have the power to appoint other trustees. Section 5, any new trustee shall abide by the original trust contract and shall not dissolve, terminate, or impact the day-to-day operations of the trust. Annual and special meetings, Article 8, Section 1. The board shall provide for an annual meeting. Special meetings may be called by one or more trustees upon 3 days' notice. Section 2, a majority of all the board shall constitute a quorum for conducting business at any meeting. Section 3, meetings may be held anywhere in the world. The trust would pay for any and all expenses connected with the meeting, or minutes may be held at this particular place and may not incur a fee for the meeting. I'm just, I like to give you some variances where I don't want everybody to take this and use it word for word. Just how I'm going through it, it's roughly taking us about an hour. Invest the hour in going through your trust and customizing it, because again, whatever gets put in this trust is going to be subject to this. So if you don't like something, I know I've repeated it over and over again, but you can remove it. But I just like to give examples of where you can change some things and add your own words. So hopefully that'll just help you further while you're reading back through this or playing this recording. So moving on, Section 4, participation in voting at any meeting may be done by telephone, internet, Zoom call, or other electronic means, including email and text messaging, as well as physical presence, as long as any such voting is recorded in the minutes. So you can even erase this and say, hey, we only doing Zoom calls, so moving on, Section 5. Any actions taken on behalf of the trust shall require a unanimous vote of those present. All right, limited liability of trustees, Article 9. And we're at getting to page 12 of 17. So it's 17 pages. We only got a short amount of time to go. Limited liability of trustees, Article 9, Section 1. The trustees shall, in their capacity as the board, assume or incur only such liabilities as shall attach to the trust assets. Section 2, this liability shall not jeopardize their personal holdings or accounts, and they shall be reimbursed by the trust for any losses they should suffer for any reason while providing services as a trustee to the trust. That's why you can keep it on Zoom, so they ain't got to be incurring no fees, no gas station fees, or none of that stuff. Section 3, no trustee created, I think that's not supposed to say BUI like that, but anywho, by this indenture shall ever be held liable for any action or default of any trustee or any other person in connection with the administration and management of this trust, unless caused by the individual's own gross negligence or by commission of a willful act of breach of trust. There you have it, protection clause. Beneficiaries, Article 10. Here's your relating to your heirs. Section 1. The beneficiaries of this trust shall be the holders of the TCUs, which are the trust certificate units. There shall always be 100 trust certificate units in issuance, no more and no less. These TCUs shall be transferred by the Board of Trustees in accordance with the settlor's wishes. The settlor or the first trustee may add any additional beneficiaries or remove any deceased beneficiaries. So there you have it. Because obviously, you know, somebody deceased, and you can change that to where, or transfer to the heirs of any deceased beneficiary. So just throwing that out there as another clause, a simple clause that can help, because this is the actual trust as I purchased it. I'm not actually showing you guys my trust because that's private. You shouldn't be showing people your trust. You just use your recording page, put that thing on the record and go. So moving on, Section 2. No TCU holder shall transfer any rights in any TCUs until and unless such transfer is first approved by the Board of Trustees. Section 3. The number of TCUs held by each beneficiary as a percentage of the total number of TCUs issued shall also be the percentage such beneficiary shall be entitled to of any trust assets which remain at the termination of this trust. All rights of any TCU holder terminate upon the death of that holder. So,
brother?
Please, go ahead.
Now, I hope everyone understands why it's not a good idea to let a beneficiary give their stuff away. That's why it needs to be approved by the board, because it might be a provision in your trust that doesn't allow them to do that. And not to mention, some people aren't responsible. So that's the whole purpose of a trust, for everything to be protected. I just wanted to drop that on there with you, brother.
Thank you, my brother. I'm always welcome to anyone imparting wisdom or further expounding, because again, the whole purpose of this is to help. We don't want to have you confused. And even my brother Asar, he knows as well that if you went to an attorney to get something like this, you thousands of dollars. And we want to give this free to our kindred and have so that we have this information on how to operate. So the brother is absolutely correct. You want to make sure the trustee, and again, that goes back to those when we were doing the slideshow, how we were talking about a spendthrift trust, so that these, you know, your heirs can't just do what they want to do. You are protecting the integrity of your will and of what it is that you put into this here indenture and bylaws, et cetera, et cetera. So Section 4, again, I don't know if I read it. I kind of got a little sidetracked. No beneficiary may hold title to any of the trust assets and shall have no vested interest in any trust income until the actual termination of this trust or its early distribution. Neither the income nor principal of the trust shall be liable for any personal debts of any beneficiary. So moving on, Section 5. No beneficiary has any management power over the trust. So your heirs can't come in there, this my daddy trust. Your father or your mother said, this is how it's gonna go, and this is how it's gonna go until the end of this 25 years. And hopefully by that time, I would also put a clause. This is another gem where my heirs or beneficiary need to go through some form of trust class, and maybe we'll set up a trust class this video before they are able to have their assets transferred to them, and that they have to have a trust set up in order for those assets to be transferred to them. See, you can go above and beyond to protect your heirs, because that's what I'm doing for mine. You got to have a trust. You got to know how this works, set up your trust, and then you can receive your assets. And maybe within the 21st year, they need to have this knowledge or have a new trust being ready to be executed, and then on the 25th year before you reach the termination date, you know, and I'm just saying, I'm just giving you some more things that you may want to throw in there before that termination date. They have to have their trust set up 6 months before, or they forfeit their assets to the other beneficiaries who actually did set up a trust. Simple and plain. So, Section 6, no TCU shall have any power to sell, assign, or transfer any of his or her units except under the procedures as set forth in the bylaws. Only what I say goes. Transfer of trust certificate units, Article 11, L even. Section 1, in accordance with the stated purposes of this trust, the transfer of TCUs is strictly limited. A TCU holder may transfer, sell, exchange, or give those units to any other persons only if the transfer is approved by a unanimous vote. There you go, Brother Asar, by the Board of Trustees and noted by a written minute. Got to write that in the minutes. Everything has to be written in the minutes. A new certificate will be issued to the new TCU holder. Approval of a legitimate request for a transfer shall not be unreasonably withheld. Approval may be withheld if, in the opinion of the Board of Trustees, the transfer is connected to an attempt to use the TCU as collateral for any loan or in any anticipation of an early termination of the trust and distribution of the assets. No, 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 ain't gonna happen in this trust. Section 2, any determination. Don't worry about it, I got it.
Please mute.
All right, I'm gonna just keep the chat screen thing on my side, so if I just gotta mute somebody. But yeah, everybody just try to keep it on mute, please. All right. Section 2, any determination of the board regarding the approval of a transfer shall be final. Section 3, the death of a TCU holder terminates his or her interest in any rights to the trust assets. You heard that, right? So if somebody dies, and you can say in this section, you can say, hey, the death of the holder transfers his or her interest into his heirs or successors or assigns, whatever, in any rights in the trust assets. So you can change that to your liking. That's why I say, don't just hurry up and print this out and try to sign it as it is. Section 4, any holder may request that the Board of Trustees accept a named successor holder that will receive the original holder's TCUs and their associated rights upon his or her death. Well, there you go, right there goes the section. Such request shall be considered, and such approval will not be unreasonably withheld. Upon transfer of the TCUs, the Board of Trustees shall record the transfer in the records of the trust and issue new TCUs. Section 5, if no such transfer was approved and recorded in the minutes, the TCUs will be transferred on a prorated basis among the remaining TCU holders. Pretty much what I was mentioning earlier. There you have it. You know, if no such transfer, it's gonna go to everybody else, and you better hope they kind enough to share. Distribution of income and assets, Article 12. This Section 1. If it is determined by the Board of Trustees that there is income distributable to the holders of trust certificate units and or income taxable to the trust, if this income is not distributed to the holders, the board shall distribute a sufficient amount of such income so as to prevent such income from being taxable to the trust. Protection. Section 2. If after such income distribution, any income remains, space right there, it shall be deemed to be a principal and allocated to the trust assets. Section 3, the Board of Trustees shall make an annual determination of the existence of distributable income. Section 4, income shall be distributed only in the same ratio as the number of TCUs held by each holder. You already know, if one child has 50%, the other two got 25 apiece, then you know that's how it's gonna go. That one child is gonna get, if it's 100,000 made, they getting 50 G's. The other two, they're gonna split 50 G's. Moving on, any TCU holder may apply to the Board of Trustees for an advance towards future distributions of both income and principal. The board may consider such applications based upon emergency circumstances relating to the health, education, or maintenance of any holder. Any decision of the Board of Trustees to distribute or not distribute, or as to the dollar amount of any advance shall be final. That's why you got to trust somebody. Section 6, the board in its discretion may at any time distribute to such holder any amount which the board determines is consistent with the purposes and intent of the trust indenture and bylaws, and with respect to the rights of other TCU holders. Section 7, any distributed income shall be charged to the account of the holder receiving the distribution and deducted from any future distribution of income. If there is not enough future income to cover the distribution, the balance of the amount advances shall be deducted from any trust assets that were to be distributed to that holder. And you see the word from is spelt wrong here. So another reason why you need to go through this trust yourself and, do your spell checking and all of the things that you need to do so that everything is cohesive. Section 8, the board may at its discretion make an annual gift not to exceed $10,000 to each TCU holder. Look at that. They can get them a couple dollars, if need be. Renewal of the trust, Article 13. Section 1, the Board of Trustees shall have the power to renew the trust for any reasonable term not to exceed the original term. If it is determined by the board to be in the best interest of the beneficiaries and there are no objections, the decision to renew the trust shall be made between 60 days and 120 days before the original termination date. Any future renewal shall be handled in the same way as the first renewal. Section 2, if any beneficiary of a renewal, the board shall distribute to that beneficiary such portion of the trust assets as he would have been entitled in the event that the trust terminated, and continue the trust with the remaining trust assets and beneficiaries. So if some people want to keep their money there, they good. If they all want to just take it, then let them all take it. But I love that clause right there. The TCUs held by the objecting beneficiary shall be turned into the trust and shall be redistributed to the remaining beneficiaries in equal proportion. Such distribution shall be noted in the minutes of the trust. Privacy rights and non-disclosure. This is why you won't see my trust on the screen. Article 14, Section 1. No officer of this trust shall disclose to anyone any information pertaining to the trust certificate unit holders. The settlor has stated that no one will disclose the identities of any and all TCU holders. We have a form also that I'm going to include in the folder of the email that I send out, and the email will go to everybody, and it'll also go to individuals like Maria, who also sends it out to a multitude of people. There will just be a link there. I advise everybody to hold on to that link because I may add something in that link, and then I'll also send an update and say, hey guys, I added something in that folder to help everyone. So moving on. Section 2, to ensure this right to privacy, no non-officer of this trust shall be permitted to view any documents of this trust except for the declaration of trust and the trust indenture sections of the original trust formation agreement. And you can make that just the declaration of trust, or just the trust indenture, so on and so forth. That's your, whatever your heart desires. Amendments to the trust contract, Article 15, Section 1. The Board of Trustees shall have the power to amend or modify the trust indentures and bylaws to better carry out the purposes of the trust, or in order to conform to or comply with any law, rule, regulation, or order of any government body, provided, however, that any such amendment may not be inconsistent with the original trust purposes and intent, and not in violation of the fiduciary obligations to the trust certificate unit holders. Protection. Section 2. The trustees must vote unanimously for any such amendments to pass and take effect. Acceptance of trust bylaws, Article 16, in witness whereof the settlor hereof and the first trustee hereof in the name of the board have hereunto set their hands and seals in token of the acceptance of, assent to, and covenant to abide by all conditions herein imposed and expressed this blank day of blank year, so on and so forth, settler name here. I, first trustee, by signing this indenture, hereby accept on behalf of the board the properties given by the settler and accepts the bylaws, conditions, terms, and provisions of this indenture, the bylaws and the resolutions of the Board of Trustees, which shall serve as the governing instruments of the trust, and agrees to transfer all beneficial interests and trust certificate units of the trust to the beneficiaries in accordance with the settler's direction. And then you have your sign and your jurat for your notary seal. And then here's the schedule that was referred to, Schedule A. This is how you are conveying the property into the corpus of the trust. On this day, the settler of ABC Trust, in agreement with the trust indenture and bylaws, hereby gives to the Board of Trustees the following described property and accepted by the first trustee and on behalf of the board. The following property is to be exchanged for 100 units of beneficial interest, hereinafter referred to as trust certificate units, that shall be of an equivalent and yet indeterminate value to all parties. 1, 2 ounces of silver stuck in 0.999 pure silver American Eagles. Or you can just put 2 ounces of silver. You don't have to, put that there. 2, anything of value, and it doesn't have to be silver or gold. That's letting you know. Again, like I told you guys, I would create multiple trusts. You can have, they say that the Rockefeller family has over 2,000 trusts set up. So this is how the rich have gotten rich and wealthy and moved and hid assets and all these different things while they tax you out your little minimum wage check, and they just do all these different things to benefit. And so that's another reason why we're here. So what I'm saying is I don't recommend that you give, you put too many things of value into one trust, because you want to have those levels of protection. You can have the same trustees operating each trust, or you can have a different trustee operating all of these trusts, or one main trust that operates and controls all of those trusts, or some type of contract. So the 2 ounces of silver, obviously that is lawful consideration per, let me get back to that, 31 USC. I just want to make sure we got that. 31 USC 5112. So I'll also put that in the chat, and I see that it's a lot of activity in the chat. So we can we'll go into that very soon. How do I get to everyone? Okay, I guess a lot going on in my in my thing here. I'll finish before I even drop that. Just remind me, or if somebody could type that in the chat, I would appreciate it, because I'm having to search through too many different things. That would be 31 USC 5112. Lawful consideration, which is, let me say this. Everybody should have silver coins. A 1 ounce silver coin, I think $25 is lawful consideration. In a lot of places it's $10, but I would just go ahead and say for 2 ounces, we exchange this, and then here's the property listed in number 2. All right, moving on. As part of the consideration provided, the settler agrees that it shall not exchange this trust indenture in any manner, nor shall it reserve or keep any ownership or control over the principal or income of the trust estate, nor any power to change in any manner this trust indenture or bylaws. This list of property is complete and comprehensive and is the written description of those certain properties which were agreed upon between the settlor and the first trustee at the time of the execution of the first trust indenture. And then the names go here and before the notary, and then you see to Board of Trustees, ABC Trust, RE Settlers request to issue trust certificate units to beneficiaries. So everything is in here. In accordance with the agreement of ABC Trust, I am hereby directing the trustees to assign and transfer 100 trust certificate units to the following beneficiaries. And then bam, you see John Alex of the family so-and-so. John, that's why I say I would turn this into a family trust, but you can also use it as a business trust, so on and so forth. It's a very good template, you guys, for you to utilize for whatever it is that you're looking to accomplish. Keep everything separate. I would appreciate your immediate attention to this request respectfully. And then, they put the minutes together and bam. And what I will provide also for you guys is some sample minutes. So that way you can kind of have an idea. There we go. Of these different things. So, and thank you. I see everybody has been dropping that sauce up in here. I really appreciate you guys for dropping those things. I'm gonna just make sure I type in here. And yes, if you aren't able to record, if you drop an email, I make sure you get the email of the trust. Oh, well, thank you, Brother Corey, for putting the 9-8 instructions in there. Anybody's on their computer can benefit from these things. I'm gonna download some of these documents. I probably have a lot of them myself. So at this moment, I would like to open up the floor for any questions, comments, concerns, or as everybody likes to say, emotional outbursts or any of the sort.
Gratitude for this.
Not a problem.
Beautifully demonstrated. That was beautifully demonstrated.
Thank you, Maria. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yes, good work, brother.
Yeah, she did a wonderful job.
Thank you. I think everything.
Gratitude.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you all. I really do appreciate that. Thank you all. Hey, look, I'm going through y'all are retarded. I swear. I love this chat right now. Y'all are tripping. Talking about some. Yeah, if I catch any of y'all using Metcalf L Trust, I will be giving you a writ. I just want y'all to know that you will be getting a writ from the office, the executor's office of the Metcalf L's for sure. So go ahead and use your own last name. Unless you are in the Metcalf family, then that's a different story. I ain't banging on y'all. But anybody else, y'all bet not. Oh, okay. So I'm looking for questions. Can the beneficiary also be the trustee? No. In order for this to be a pure trust, you don't want to have the beneficiary as your trustee. However, one thing that I wanted to mention, for right now, I want to get you guys acclimated with just putting your own trust together. But I do want to share something with you guys. Remember, your all caps name is a corporation. You are not it. Now, Tech Sister, I'm putting you on blast because you sent me that privately. However, you're not really on the calls a lot. Most of the people on the call already, and you understand as well, but I'll give you an example. Let me just create an example. All right, Ralph Metcalf L, Ralph Metcalf, the all caps name, right? All right, if we take him, that's a corporation. Now, I, the living, breathing man, proper spelling, which is capital R, lowercase ALPH, capital M, lowercase ETCALF, that's a different entity. I'm not the piece of paper. This is another reason why we want you to get acclimated with establishing a trust. Because it's the first step to what we call status correction and separating yourself from that all caps entity. So keep that in mind. So there is a situation where one can become the trustee, the living person can become the trustee, and the all caps name can be the actual grantor. So there is a possibility for that to happen. That's something that I want to demonstrate a little further in the future. I just wanted to touch on it just a little bit so that you can understand. I want to keep you guys out of trouble. So right now, we're not going to think about how can we buck the system. First, we want to make sure that we're very well acclimated in the trust, in this information. So,
Brother
you know,
MarVo,
yes.
peace. Thank you for all your information. I was asking that because I'm a single parent with one adult son, and just say if my parents are not around to be trustees, and I'm not around to be the trustee, there's only the beneficiary left. He has no brothers and sisters, and like I don't trust anybody to be a trustee but him, and he would be the beneficiary. That's the only one I was. That's why I was asking that.
You don't trust me?
I mean, yeah, sure, but you know,
I'm messing with
you. If you're having multiple trusts, I mean, I don't know. That's just I guess it's an issue for me.
I mean, that's a good question for your particular and I'm thank you for asking that question, Texas. I was about to call you by your government. Thank you for asking that question. That's a very good question. Now, as we go, like this is not so much as like a recurring thing what I'm doing, but because I like to put things together properly so that I can stick to the script and demonstrate it. But I will show you guys how to do such, that which you are speaking of right now. You can even make your son his own, because he also has an all caps name as well. So I don't know if I'll ask you those questions later, but he has an all caps name. He is not that entity. Once he achieves the separation of that entity, then we can move forward and you won't have to have any issues with that. So yes, there is a way, but I would just prefer for right now, that's something that I'll take that in consideration. Let's talk about that like off the call. And then once we set something up, because I want to actually establish that so that everybody can see that, and then we'll go right back over it and jump on the Zoom again, and we'll demonstrate it and we'll record it, and then we'll share it with everybody. Simple and plain. So I saw someone asking a question, is the pure trust an irrevocable trust? Yes, it is, Ruby Jackson. So and again, I'm scrolling through to see if there's any other questions. Is there more? That was yes, you may.
Mayor.
Yes, you may.
Brother Ralph, how you doing, my guy?
What's going on, Maurice?
All right. Just for the good. Oh man, ain't nothing, man. Hey, just for clarity. All right, just for clarity, man. I just want to, cause I got in a little late, but the settler. So with this common law trust, with the settler would be myself, and then I can make my empress the trustee, and of course make my children beneficiaries, just as a starting off, right?
So, all right. So technically, the person who is the should not have a relative type of relationship. So there are, again, I don't want to get into how we demonstrate on the calls all the time, because I got a lot of my relatives on here and I'm trying to keep it simple. The settler can be a trustee. You see what I'm saying? They can just be, because remember, the settler, I'll go back to the slide and I'll put that slide on the screen just so that you can see that, my brother. I know you were here a little late. I will send, the recording will be available. But if you look at the what I have on the screen right now, it basically tells you, the guarantor, the trust, the trustees, the exchanger, the corpus, and the beneficiaries. So it's really kind of letting you know what everybody's role is. And yes, your trustee can act as an exchanger or settler. However, you know, you may have some other random person just exchange it and convey it into the trust. They just a person who is, you can have somebody, excuse me, like for example, you can say, hey, Ralph, I need you to convey something into my trust real quick. And then I'll, you know, the trustees elect me to exchange or convey it. And then bam, we do that. We put it on the minutes, done, simple and plain. So, but yes, that's what that would, you know, that's how that would be. I didn't want to get off into the having your family. I will show you guys how to do that, you know, is to set it up. But right now, I understand some people don't trust anybody. Well, then you don't need a trust. You need something else. You know what I mean? But nah, it's another way that you can do it. I'm not gonna say you don't need a trust, but we'll make sure that again everybody has that information.
Well, brother, may I?
Yes, you may, my brother.
Okay. So when it comes to those who don't trust anybody, right? You have to remember that there's other entities set up. So if you have a bank account, then you trust somebody else, not only with your blood, sweat, and tears, but with your future. So it's a good idea to put matters in perspective. And since that's a route that a lot of people want to take, they have trust companies set up. But you want to do your research on them, make sure they're properly bonded, licensed, check their reputations and things like that. If, for example, what the sister was asking about her son, that is a very legitimate question. So that is another way that people can approach it. And I yield.
Thank you, my brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yes, you may, please.
I want to speak further in reference to what the brother was demonstrating, because a corporate trustee can definitely be appointed if need be, or other persons per se. If ones don't trust people, there are other persons that can be appointed as trustee. So yeah, that's it. I yield.
Also, a corporation, and again, I'm just giving this for informational purposes. A corporation can be utilized as a trustee. However, right now, we want to exercise the pure trust. We don't want to, like I say, there are many loopholes that we can utilize in the law to our advantage, but we don't want to teach people right now in this particular setting about the loopholes, because then, you know, you got people going to go try to do stuff and then they put themselves in a bind or in a jam. And then next thing it'll be, oh, Ralph, he the one said it and it got me in trouble. And, you know, I'm not trying to be that person. So I definitely would recommend that everybody just, and I'm about to, again, I'm going to drop this document in the chat for everybody who's on their computer. However, I will also put the document in the folder with the recording. And then if you just give me 48 hours, because I'm going to need 48 hours, y'all, to do this. And it may be sooner, but I'm just saying at the minimum of 48 hours, I will update the chat. The link to the call, and I'll put some extra things on there for you guys. I'll separate the document, put it in Word format. Another gem I would like to give you guys, there's a program that we use called Open Office. For anybody who doesn't have Microsoft Word or can't doesn't have access to Microsoft Word, it's a free program. It's called Open Office. I'll drop the link there. The reason why I'm sharing this is because not only am I going to include the Microsoft Word document version of it, but I'm also going to include the Open Office version of it. And so that way, you know, I like the Open Office program just a little bit better than I like to use Microsoft Word. So I just dropped that in the chat for everyone. Just take note of that it's a beautiful thing, and it works on Windows and Mac both alike, because I use it on every one of them. So Yeah, okay. Linux user, I forgot you. You don't have not one computer, tech sister. They might even have a Linux version, but I'm gonna just be real with you. I don't know. I'm not
Only
aware.
for my masternode, that's it. Only for crypto, for guap coin. I use Windows. I don't use Windows for anything else.
All right, well,
Sorry.
you can open up. You just the one. You would be the one person.
I can open
of,
your document. I was just playing.
Okay, cool. I mean, look, I just want to make sure we clear because that's a good point, you know. So yeah, I'll have all of those variances of the document in the folder. I would have liked to have had that rather already done for you guys, but my time didn't permit because I was putting this together and I was just making sure I was clear and concise and truncating all of those pages of research that I did. You know, somebody just text me saying unmute them, please. But yeah, I don't have you muted. You know, you could unmute yourself, my brother, who sent me that message.
May I?
Yes, you may.
Yeah, I got another 17-page document over here, brother. I want you to read this one for the rest of everybody else. Would you do that for me? Because you read perfectly.
I will not be doing that for you, my good brother, my beloved. Arrow, yeah, brother, who he been on a few of the Zoom calls that we've had. You know, this my brother. I should have known I wasn't gonna get out of here without no clownery. You know what I'm saying? It's all good though. I sure will not be. However, if you would like for me to share it, brother, then I'll gladly drop it in the demonstration so that everybody can demonstrate. How about that?
Nah, I appreciate it though, brother. You did a masterful job, man. You know. Thank you for this this dissertation. It's been marvelous.
Yes, it was.
No problem.
No pun intended.
Everybody, they don't know. Some of them know. You know, some of them why that was no pun intended. Clearly, Britain does. I know that's Britain with iPhone right there. I just know it. But so yeah, is everybody clear? I'm gonna drop this. Let me drop this document in the chat. Look, you know it. What I tell you, I know my kindred. Let me just tell you, I know my people. Y'all I love all of you guys. And again, that's why I wanted to do this, because this is the first step to status correction. So I challenge everyone to try to get this done within the next week. Please, if you can get this done within the next week, get it done. Because if everybody can get this done, then yeah, I understand, tech sister, that the people, whoever is on their phone, unfortunately, you're gonna have to wait till by midnight. I'll have the email sent out with the document. You know, it's a lot of people recording, so this stuff will be distributed amongst everybody freely without a problem. Crystal, you have your hand raised, Empress. Is this something that you wanted to say?
Peace. Thank you. I was just wanting to just say gratitude for sharing this evening. Also, as many were asking about the different entities that can be utilized as a trustee, because a lot of us, we really do not trust anyone, especially our own kind. For some reason, that's been a part of the brainwashing for us not to trust one another. And as the brother was saying, there are ways that you can get around that, but I understand why, you know, you don't want to give out that type of information. In my temple, I'm currently teaching everyone how to properly set up this exact trust. And for consideration, because for a lot of people, they feel like, you know, I could just, you know, create a whole bunch of paper and it's not backed by anything. But consideration is very important. As a matter of fact, if you do not have consideration in your trust is going to collapse. All right. there is a maxim in equity that says equity will not aid an imperfect gift. So that means you want your trust to be backed by something that is real. If you have nothing that is real, that's why he was speaking about silver. If you don't have anything that's real and you put it in your trust and you think that you'll be able to utilize your certificate units to, get out of court cases and to set off and offset and so on and so forth. If you think you're going to be able to do that, I'm letting you know right now, your trust is going to collapse. So be very careful, be very strategic when you're creating this trust. This is believe it or not, this really is a simple trust. I mean, this trust does not have many elements within it that most trusts that I create through my business will have. And as the brother was saying, just a simple trust like this, it costs thousands of dollars to create. So everyone take this and don't take it lightly, but actually utilize it. Utilize this for your benefit, for you and your heirs. I yield.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. That's my sister right there. She does a wonderful job also of teaching trust class, and I enroll in her classes as well, because again, I'm always trying to learn, even when I know something. I ain't gonna bang on you about my TP, but I want my TP.
Look, I got you. I was just trying to get somebody that's going to Chicago this week to bring all of the boxes up there. But my sister-in-law, she has graduation this week coming up. So definitely I'm gonna come with all the boxes.
I ain't listening to you. Like, I just wanted to throw a little jab at you real quick.
I know. I got cleaning products for you as well. For those who don't know, I own my own toilet paper manufacturing company. We are Asiatic owned, and we also have other products such as our own organic, all natural cleaning products as well. So I'll put our link in the chat. But I got you. And Brother Saru, it's funny, every time when I hear him on these calls, Brother Saru actually was in my first class that I taught many, many years ago on, well, I think it was really status correction. It's like almost 8 years ago. So it's funny to have like both of y'all on the phone right now, just hearing you all dialogue. But I yield. Peace.
No doubt. That's my brother, Brother Asar. That's my brother right there. And a lot of beautiful relationships have stemmed from these Zoom calls. Maria, I want to salute you as well, because I met a lot of people in relation to being on your platform, as well as the Empress Aisha. And so I'm grateful for you guys, and we all give so much. So I just felt like I wanted to make sure I was giving something that is really, can really be utilized. As the sister said, we will go over how to maneuver different ways inside of your trust. However, like I told you before, I want you to get a general understanding. Again, if you are a few of those people who don't trust anyone, then, we have to just, you trust your will to be done under contract. And then, so again, I get it, that's why we have to educate our heirs, because then our heirs will at least know. Remember, nobody can do anything that the trust does not allow them, or else, they put themselves at risk. So if you educate your heir on, hey, this is how the trust is run, you don't have no rights to it. However, but this is what it says, and so on and so forth, and all of the above and all of that. And you can demonstrate that with, to your heirs. I encourage everybody to share this information with their children, because they are our future. And we do these things to protect our posterity, which is our future, our progeny, the generations to come, the ones that are unborn. So I appreciate everybody. I really don't have any much to go into in relation to this. I was trying to keep it under 2 hours. I knew that reading of that indenture was going to be a little longer, but I wanted to make sure I walked you guys all the way through it, word for word, and then I will also try to, well, because that's all one big document for you to read. I'm going to separate the documents, and I'm going to have indenture, bylaws, all of the different things that go inside of there. So again, if you guys bear with me for 48 hours or less, I'll make sure I separate it for you so that all you have to do is put your name in there, the name of your trust, and go record that what is the declaration of trust on the county record. And then now you are set up, simple and plain. And that's that thing there. So again, I appreciate everybody. If hopefully whoever wasn't able to record, if you needed to drop your email, some of y'all gonna get it twice because it's going out from many different sources. We are all one unit of these people. So even my family members, my blood relatives who came out on the call, all of our guests who was invited, this is an introduction to each other. And at the end of the day, we're very grateful that you all are here, and we hope that this was very beneficial to everyone. We don't have to end, but I'm just telling y'all that I'm done.
May I?
It all. Yes, you may. Any questions?
So this document, we put this on the record. This is basically the status correction, the beginning portion of the status correction.
Yes, I would say it's the beginning. I'm sorry, will you finish with your question, Brother Veggie Man?
Yeah. You can expound.
All right, so this is the reason I say that this is the beginning of the status, right? And again, for my relatives, y'all just got to bear with me. I'll probably do something private and try to get y'all caught up on what status correction is, because I know some of y'all don't know. However, what we want to do is we want to separate ourselves from the all caps name. All right. The all caps name is the ward of the state. It is a perpetual minor. Whenever you hear the term minority, they're not actually talking about you. First of all, everybody on this call know that melanated people make up the majority of the population on the planet. So we can never be a minority in relation to what they try to say. Oh, it means it's less of y'all than it is of us. Bull crap. So when they're talking about the minor, they're talking about the paper, the birth certificate that, unfortunately, guys, when you were born at the hospital, in short, your mama was drugged up. We know that she didn't do this willfully or intentionally. If she would have knew what she was doing, she probably wouldn't have done it. But they kind of sold you into slavery, so to speak, to the corporate U.S. All right. And so what we want to do first is, and through the doctrine of merger, they have merged you, and you were pretty much pledged as the surety for that particular birth certificate bond. If you look at your birth certificate, you'll notice that it's printed on a special type of paper. Well, we call that bond paper. The way that it's printed, it's a security, a surety, and a blank trust indenture. So again, I don't want to go all deep into that. I will invite some of my relatives out to the Zoom calls that we have on the regular. So that way, if you guys want to sit in and listen, you can have access to that information. I'll figure out some way to, make that happen or whatever. It's simple as me sending really the link or adding their email to the email list. And then you can get a little more acclimated with that. But again, we want to separate ourselves from the ward, which is what I call it, the guardian from the ward. You are the guardian, and your minor is a child. It's going to stay a child until the day you die. And even after the day you die, it's still a child. It's a minor. Don't think that they're not trading on you even after your death. They are. So what we want to do is separate ourselves from that entity. this is why I am encouraging everybody to set their trust up. Because if you take that step, I'm not going to give you a whole laid out process. I'm going to give you step by step. I'm going to give you first, hey, if you ain't got a trust, you shouldn't even be talking about status correction because you don't have anywhere to forward your business now and take it up out of the straw, all caps, ends, league's name. And then we'll show y'all in the future, me and some of the other brothers and empresses. I know me and the brother Asar, I'm not gonna put you on blast like that, bro. But you know, we've been working on some things. It's just that we like to have stuff properly put together. Just like how I did this presentation, I want it to be uniform and I want it to be as simple. I mean, so simple that a 5-year-old can understand it, as my elder says, decent and in order. So if you guys bear with us and take the initiative to initiate step one, some of us are a lot further beyond. Some of us have multiple trusts, and that's fine. But if you take the initiative and get this first step done, get the trust done and recorded. If anybody needs help, most of you know that we will help anybody who needs help. And even if it means we got to set up or do whatever, you know, on a other Zoom call or whatever the case may be, however we got to do it, we will make sure that it is done so that you have the full understanding. I don't think you really need a lot of more understanding. Just watch this video over and over again until it click in your mind. Trust me, it'll click in your mind. It's very simple. It's a very simple trust, y'all. And it covers a lot of things. And, you know, if you're moving into business, that's some things that I'm going to go into that, because everybody know that we have our businesses and corporations and entities and things like that. And I'm in the process of transferring things over. I'm going to be operating out of the religious trust, to keep it all the way real with you. And then from there, I'll set up other trusts. But again, I don't want to overcomplicate it right now. So again, if there are any more questions before we call this meeting adjourned, I would like for those questions to be presented. If there are any more people who need to drop your email that wasn't able to record, you do so. This will also be posted in the Wakanda chat, and I'm sure the Nation Builder chat, all the different chats that we already, you know, we're already on a regular. I mean, at least 3 or 4 times a week, we're on Zoom calls. So I invite everybody. Of course, if you come in, just say, hey, Ralph invited me, or I'm one of Ralph's relatives. I'm sure you'll be greeted with open arms, or, you know, something of the sort.
May I once again?
Yes, please.
Do we file this in the state that we're in, and if we were born in another state?
Yes, sir. You can file it in the state where it's created. So how about that? So, you know, at the beginning of that trust document, it talks about it'll be created in this place, in this state, and so on and so forth. That's the state where you actually want to establish it. But you also, if you remember, you were able to operate in all of the states. So it doesn't matter if you want to do it in your birth state. Like, for example, my grandmother is in Illinois, and I might, you know, of course, a lot of y'all hear about us moving down south to get on some land and grow our own stuff. I can set it up in, you know, up in Illinois. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Illinois Land Trust is a very powerful trust. But again, we'll expound on those things at another time, because again, this is simple. You can transfer something right into that trust. It don't matter what state it's in or what state you in. None of that matters. I just recommend that you put it on the, he gonna put Morocco. Y'all, I love y'all. You know, but again, you can, you know, utilize Morocco. And then there's some other tricks to the trade that we will show you guys moving forward. You know, we'll show you some more stuff. I just want everybody to get this concept, set up a trust, and then we can move on to the second part of it, which here's my vow to everybody. If you guys get it done, set up your trust, I will walk you guys through how to get the 9A number, The brother dropped the document in the chat already. So, I mean, typically I hadn't read that document that he dropped in there. However, maybe, it's the same thing. Maybe it's the same information. But I don't even want to go into any details about the 9-8. But if you were able to download that document, if you didn't, obviously it'll be in the Wakanda chat or in the Nation Builder chat or whichever group, and we'll share those with everyone as well. I also downloaded every document that was dropped in the chat. So what I'll do is I'll create a folder inside of that folder, and it'll say extra documents that were, a part of the Zoom or something like that. And as I wanted to say this also, Emperor Zionite, thank you. I just remembered. Please don't sell this. I'm giving this away to you for free. Get your affairs in order, please, y'all. Don't think about, I know everybody might be, but I'm almost certain that if you guys put your stuff in order, the creator, the highest being, the most high, will move some things around in your life. That's what I'm speaking into your life. If you set up your trust and start getting your affairs in order so that you can govern yourself accordingly, the creator will come to your aid and benefit for wherever it is that you lack. And I knew it was finna be you, Marley. Just so you know, I knew it was gonna be you. Ruby Jackson had her hand raised, so I want to make sure whatever question you had gets answered. Ruby, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to make sure it was clear when you said to record the document, because I thought a trust document was supposed to be a private document. So when you say record, exactly how do you do that? Is that through the filing of the 98, or is that something else that needs to be done?
Very good question. Thank you, iPhone.
The declaration.
Exactly. Go ahead, brother. I'll let you explain it. But he dropped it in the chat also. You just recording the declaration, Empress. You're not recording all of the private matters. And I also, this is why I'm saying if you guys give me 48 hours, because I'm gonna add some stuff that's not in that document that I shared to you guys. I purchased that document like back in 2017 or something like that. And I have many different forms of trust, and that's just how I am. I got $50,000 trusts and these types of trusts, but I just like to study them all so that I can, further my understanding. I may read something in one trust or whatever. So you just recording a declaration of trust. I will have all of that for you in the folder with the proper forms legislation. I might even do 2 separate folders where they have regular size paper and legal size paper, so that you don't even have to play with the settings on your word processing program, and then you'll be able to print that stuff out on legal paper if need be, or regular paper and stuff like that. So I'm gonna put that extra work in for y'all. That's why I'm asking you to just do the work and don't go selling this stuff trying to make a business out of it. Once you understand, then okay, if you have to sit down and draw up somebody's trust for them, then okay, fine. You make your you may charge them a hourly rate or something if somebody does not want to go and type up their own trust themselves. But again, I'm giving y'all, that it'd be so funny in that chat sometimes. But I'm giving you this because I want everybody to demonstrate this, because pay attention. Let me explain to y'all why this is so important, right? The world is changing. Our economy as we know it is collapsing. They have until Friday to up the debt and all of these different things. You're gonna want to have your trust set up and be prepared to separate yourself from that entity. Trust me, I don't think that it's just about to be shut down in 2 weeks and it's over with for everybody. I'm not saying they can't surprise us and that happens. However, I think that with the grace of the Most High, that we're having this class so that we can get on our business. So everybody, I encourage you to get it done. Don't make an excuse. It's been given to you. Take an hour or two out of your life, even if you could only do, okay, an hour one day and an hour the next day. I'm almost certain you can have all of this done in 2 hours, because really you just inputting names, but you should try to change it up and alter it to your own liking. I'm put it in your own words, as we always say on our Zoom calls. Do not take this and just copy it word for word. Put it in your words. Express your will that you want to be done for your heirs and for your posterity, and so on and so forth. So any more questions that anybody would like to ask before we adjourn? I think we've given everybody proper time. Bless you, for you, or however you want to bless you, however you see. Yes, you may. Go ahead.
I just want to add on to what you were just saying, and just give that planetary aspect of Saturn being in Aquarius for the next 2 years, which basically boils down to focusing and dedication. You know what I'm saying? Saturn is about discipline and law, and Aquarius is about knowledge. So we have got to apply this knowledge of law. That's all.
Mhm.
May I? May I?
Go ahead. Lucky got it out first, and then whoever came second, I think it was Arrow.
Yeah, go
Now,
ahead.
I just want to ask the welcome everybody that joined us tonight. And Ralph, I appreciate you from sharing all the information and guiding a lot of people to the light. And gratitude for spending this quality time on here and just going over the documents with everyone. Now, yeah.
Thank you as well, my brother. Appreciate you. Luck, definitely. Go ahead, Arrow. Aki.
Never mind. Go ahead, y'all.
You sure?
Yep.
All right, cool. So again, if there are any more questions, y'all, please present them now or forever hold your peace. We'll be on a new day. Yes, you may. Go ahead, Sister Tamara.
I just want to say how grateful I am, and want to again stress that this was freely given. And when you do share it with others, please make sure you let them know that that you're giving this to them free, and that you do not want them to charge as well. And I also want to thank everybody who I invited on the call. I just want to say that too, as well. With all that being said, thank you so much. Much gratitude for your time and your energy.
No problem. Thank you. Spicy, when you say what's the link again, can you clarify that, Empress? I just want to make sure we got everything that's needed. And peace and love to everybody. I really know in my heart that everybody appreciates it. So that's why I did it. I'm not even in the mind state that there's somebody on here that doesn't have gratitude. Oh, well, no, I'm gonna email the links. Maria, other ones who are on here gonna share the link. So anybody who is already in our regular Zoom calls and stuff like that, the links will be available. I can't upload the link until we finish the Zoom call. Then the actual recording will process, and then from there we can share it. So it'll be shared. Trust me, everybody is gonna get the recordings. We ain't gonna we not gonna we got y'all. Just be patient. Give me, you got to give us time, as Maria say all the time. Because I want to put some other things in there. I will send the link out 30 hours. Huh? That's all I got. I'm gonna send tonight. Go ahead. What you say, Empress?
I said they might be marking me about the 30 hours, but the chat, the Zoom from last night is uploaded. It's in the Wakanda group.
All right, there y'all have it. Maria, get off my auntie, y'all, because she done gave it to you. So, so now we'll like I say, we'll definitely by midnight. Well, obviously that's my time because it's already midnight for everybody who on the East Coast. We call Maria auntie, mama, all kind of stuff, grandma, all that. So at the end of the day, I will be sending this out tonight. So I'm gonna send the link out with the trust indenture document that we just read with the 17 pages. Is actually 16 pages because it's a cover page that says common law trust on it. But I will make sure that stuff is sent out tonight. And again, if you guys give me 48 hours, maybe, let's just say you want to check by Thursday, Friday, Saturday evening or something, just hold on to the link because I will be adding some more things to the link, and then I know from the link it'll be transferred into like the Wakanda Drive and all these other different places when it's super complete. I just want to complete it for you guys so that I want it to be so simple for you that you can just get it done and be done with it. So I'm gonna do my best to make it as simple as I possibly can and do all of the work beforehand. And that's another reason why we are asking, do not share. We do, we give freely, we receive. And that's how, if we start reciprocating that in our circles and amongst our kindred, we believe that we will get more and more and more. So with that said, I'm complete. Oh, yes, you may. Go ahead.
I just want to say it's a possibility you might have created a little frantic with the time of us needing to do it, especially for the few of us that still are a little diddy, and got lost in the sauce a little bit after the slides. We may still not comprehend a lot of the words and the terminologies on actually how to create the trust and reading the documents and everything, and still might get a little confused reading it and trying to create it into our own.
All right, so are you finished with okay, yeah. All right, so here's my response to that. All right, read it, reread it, and reread it, and reread it, and play back the video, because I did expound on some things. If I felt like something was a lot of the stuff really was self-explanatory, and I know that it may be new. So sometimes we have fears in our mind. I remember when I got into this information, I've been in the information since I was about 18. I'm 37 now. So we coming up on 20 years. So I remember when I used to be afraid of just like, I don't understand this stuff. It's all new to me. Take your time. If you don't, if you're not fully understanding, and thank you, Empress, for asking that question, because it was a valid question. If you're not fully understanding, then you can feel free to reach out. I'll drop my email in the chat for everybody real quick. Don't think that I'm gonna be able to just, if 30 people hit me up asking me questions, then y'all know I'm going to answer them as I can and in the order in which they come. So be a little patient with me. But if you really don't have an understanding, then just keep rereading it, and I promise you, it'll start making sense. I wish back 19 years ago, some stuff, instead of just reading it once and then putting it down like, wow, that was a bit much, I wish I would have just stayed diligent and read it again and read it again. My elder told me something. He said, it wasn't until I read the Declaration of Independence the 33rd time that it finally clicked. And I know that may sound like a lot of reading, and the people don't want to do a whole lot of reading. That's another reason why you have that file in a PDF format. You can read it on your phone. You can print it out. I print it out and binded it and turn it into a book. And then I read it, and when I'm in the bathroom, read it when I'm laying in the bed or whatever the case may be, and just keep on reading it. I've probably read that particular trust package that we just went through. I probably read it about 20 times after tonight, So I think that if you keep reading it, you will get the understanding. If you meditate, talk to your creator, your God, your spiritual, whatever it is that you do, we all have our own, we all come from many different spiritual walks. Meditate and pray before you read the document. And then ask for understanding and wisdom of the document, and then read it. And then that's an even better way for you to demonstrate that information. So, exactly, Vicious. And that's what it is. But I thank you for asking that question, because I know you was really asking it for our other kindred. I'm just saying that if you can comprehend it and understand it, try to get it done in a week. If everybody get it done in a week, then we'll do this again, and then we'll go over the next step or whatever the case may be, and then we'll record it again and we'll send it out to everybody. We'll give everybody a moment of time. However, if 30, 40 people got their stuff done, we ain't gonna wait on you. However, there will be a recording waiting for you for when you do get it done. But it'll be best to try to get it done so that you can ask your questions in real time, because it's good when we get to ask the questions while everybody's listening, because somebody else might not have thought of that question. And so there is no dumb questions. All questions are good questions, and we will answer every question to our greatest ability, myself or one of these nobles who are on this call or on any other call. We really go in to help each other, y'all. This is all about love, which is the foundation of these things. And that's why we all be up till 5 in the morning on Zoom calls and stuff, because it is a lot of love being expressed. You got a lot of our kindred who have real big hearts, who do what they do. And we put a lot of time into this. So please also invest some time into it as well. I will also try to put the slides in a PDF form or something like that for everybody also, and load that up into the folder as well. How about that?
May I?
Yes, you may.
Okay, just want to say too, for those to help out, because some of the words that we think we may know, it's good to have, if you can go to a used bookstore and get it very cheaply, a Black's Law Dictionary. I just want to mention that as well, because that helps out a lot in knowing exactly what words they're using. And we think we know what it is in our language, but it's something different, like people or person, things like that. And I yield.
Thank you. That was, I wanted to say something like that. I was a little bit, because, again, sometimes I know what the fear is like, but she is absolutely right. Get you a Black's Law. In fact, I will also, as another bonus, let me just make sure I type this in the chat so I remember. I will put Black's Law Dictionary, the 4th edition, in the file, in the link. I'm just typing that in the thank you, Black's Law Matters. Oh, y'all need to stop. I love y'all. I'm telling you, I love y'all funny little jokes that y'all crack. It keeps me laughing. Y'all retarded in a good way. I love every one of y'all. But yeah, so I'll put the Black's Law Dictionary also in that trust, all we need is trust folder link or whatever the case may be. So that way you could simply just do a search and I can't stand y'all. You can do a search and then you can look up some of those words that you may not understand, because this is pertaining to law. Some of these words are not the words that are in your regular Webster's dictionary. So that's why we use Black's Law Dictionary for all our kindred and family members who are not acclimated to the language of legalese and law, so it is a language, guys. This is why you hire an attorney and you give them your power, because you don't know how to speak the language. You have to hire an interpreter. Thank you. There go my brother Reginald L. just dropped all of the Black's Law Dictionaries 1 through 9 I'm only going to put 4 in the folder because, you know, that's the one that they give the attorneys that graduate or pass the bar. So I'm going to put 4 in there, but the brother just shared a link where you can even click on it if you got a cell phone going and download those things. If it's anything else that anybody else want to share, because I do want to bring it to a close. I don't want to extend the recording too long, but number first, then 5th edition. Can you expound on that, Kamaria, please? Just real quick.
Okay, the 4th one has certain things that the 5th one doesn't have. Where like if you looked up United States, where it talks about the 3 different United States, and also the 5th one is it talks about it gives the word free man, and it breaks down different things. Both of them, that's why it's good to have the 4th as well as the 5th. But if you can't get either, if you can't get just only can get one, the 4th one is the best.
All right, well, with that wisdom, I will add a version of the 4th and the 5th. The reason I didn't want to just put all 13, because I got all 13 or 14 of them right now. I don't want to inundate people. I know the Empress Vicious was saying that, you know, she was told the lawyers use the 3rd edition. However, I was told that, and this was by attorneys myself, that they give them the 4th edition. And then I also, in the future, like, you know, I probably have some of my attorney friends, if they're available, jump on some of the regular Zoom calls that we do, and just continue to share, you know, so that you can have the perspective of an actual attorney. And I know we have some attorneys on board somewhere in here, you know. Hey, Corey, you just dropping it, bro. I appreciate you. You know, he dropping a lot of sauce up in here. So ones who are competent, you know, our brother Corey is dropping a whole bunch of documents that I'm even downloading because, you know, I'm going to read all of that stuff and print it out. I see business trust just dropped in there now. So again, I will put all this stuff in the, you know, in the folder, all of the extra. I'll organize it. I'm going to make sure it's well organized so that nobody is all over the place and figuring it out and things of that nature. I don't want to keep anybody up. So again, if it's any more questions, comments, or emotional outbursts or anything, if you about to drop some more, are you about to drop some more documents, Brother Corey?
I wanted to see if Brother Corey can add him in the Wakanda group as well.
I'll put them over there if you know, no problem, okay. Maria. Okay. I'm gonna upload all of them and then I'll drop the link. It'll be in there, you know. I don't know how long it usually takes Zoom to do a recording and make it finish, but I will put that stuff in there so that way, and then just put the link there so that way, you know, it'll just be easier. And I mean, if somebody want to drop the documents individually, that's one thing, but I was just going to create a link, and actually I'll even create it on the drive, if you know, and then, you know what I mean, and just do it from there, and then that way we don't have.
Oh, Brother LeBron, he said he can't see nothing, so can y'all make sure that he get that information, please? He said he can't see shit.
You want your phone, Brother Lewayne? Oh my God.
Yes, it will. The Telegram will hold all the documents. Yes, it will.
It's unlimited, bro. I done downloaded about 5 gigabytes worth of documents out of Telegram. So on one, you can actually, I think you can download them all at once.
That's
you
right.
know. Yeah, Telegram is a powerful demonstration, y'all. So again, I'll make sure, you know, some invites and stuff get sent out and all that. And again, we just keep building, y'all. That's all I desire to do. Keep building. Man, I appreciate everybody for their participation. I hope y'all can see that this is what we own. We are all about this, our community, all about our people. And then, matter of fact, Maria, if you would give us what you say is based on what? On race pride. Go ahead, hit me one time, Maria.
Yeah. Race pride, race first, and love your race.
Amen.
That's the foundation.
That's the foundation. So we, that's where we at. That's what this is done in the love of our own people. So thank you for sharing that, Empress. And again, thank for everybody who shared, all of my kindred and everybody. I think we done here. It's coming up on 11 o'clock my time. So I would like to end the Zoom by 11 o'clock. Right, Brother Corey, he dropping most stuff. So are you about to drop some more stuff, Brother Corey? Because I want to wait. I just want to make sure.
No, this is it.
All right, cool. I just want to be sure because I don't want to miss. You on a roll right now, brother. You got some stuff in your archives, man. You've been holding out. Yes, you may.
It don't do me any good to have it. Nobody else do.
I heard that. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody who been sharing, gave their input. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it because I didn't want to just be all redundant and stuff like that. And I'm telling you, I'm very grateful for you guys. I appreciate y'all. So, with that being said, peace, love, hotel, Rambe, agape, and all of the other versions of love that we can possibly demonstrate. Everybody be looking forward. We have the stuff saved and all of the chat saved, and I'll be talking with everybody soon. And if anybody needs help, you got my email also. Go ahead and use it, but please don't
abuse it.
Thank you. Thank you. Please don't abuse it. And Zion I just put all the files in Telegram. Look at that.
Sure did. Yes, he did. That's a great saying.
Right. I should have added y'all all as co-hosts, but this is my first time really doing this like this. So I was y'all was helping me. I appreciate y'all showing me around. So peace and love, everybody. It is now 11 my time. I'm about to end it. So I hope everybody said what they needed to say, and gratitude for all the people who sending their love. And, I appreciate y'all for sure. I'm going to go ahead and end this and eat me some dinner because I haven't ate yet. So
okay.
I'm going to go now.
Okay.
Gratitude.
No problem, y'all. Peace and love. I'm hitting in right now.
Okay.
Yeah, peace and love.
Shalom.
Hey, let me say the chat. I almost forgot.
You gotta say the chat.
Say from beginning.
Somebody already downloaded the docs.
Yeah, they downloaded.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, yep, it's in there. So thank you guys. I got everything saved. I'll send y'all. She gonna say after dark. I'm gone.
Y'all have a divine night.
This the part of the party Fresh Prince come on.
You all, I ain't part. Good night, y'all. I'm out of here. Peace and love.
After dark. Y'all can't steal my after dark.
Link, Maria, in the chat, in the Wakanda for after dark, but I can't be there tonight, y'all. But go ahead with that. I'm gonna miss it tonight. I'll be on it tomorrow night. But all right, y'all. Peace and love for sure, y'all.
Good night. I'll do it tomorrow night.
It is, y'all. Tomorrow night. Shalom, peace and love.